So today's focus is going to be three things primarily. And offline or online, I've always talked about these three things, and those are physiology, focus, and language. And I think these three things put together, physiology, our physiology, what we focus on, and the words we use, determine the quality of our life, period. And I want to talk about language first. Language first because this word lockdown kind of gets to me. So all of us have been listening to, Mr. Modi, Prime Minister Modi, and the whole world is essentially on lockdown. Now, you know where the word lockdown comes from? It comes from essentially from jails. So when you're in prison and you do something really bad, even after being in prison, they put you in lockdown. That means they put you in solitary, or you're not allowed to come out of your cells. And that word is essentially for prisoners, for people who are locked down in jail. And hence I don't like using that word, because words really have an impact. The word, some people could come up and say, oh my God, Yash, this is a disaster. Or someone can come up and say, hey, I'm at home and it's a new situation. Both of them are the same meaning, the same situation being expressed, but the kind of message that it triggers in your brain is two completely different messages. And hence I prefer the word grounded. For instance, not lockdown. We're not locked down, we're grounded, which means we've actually been set free. That time in your life, and I know all of us have had it, because I've had that almost every day of my life, where I feel like I've wished and prayed to God that I had this one opportunity where I could just have 1 month by myself in my room, no one talking to me, and I would get my book done. I would read so much, and I would get all these strategies that I've been working on, and I would just get them finally done. I'm sure you've had those too. And you've been wishing for this moment to happen, but when this moment finally hit, you're like, oh crap, I didn't know what to do. And it looks like we're on vacation. First thought, for the past 1 week, I'm not here to just be your friend today. I'm actually not here to be your friend. I'm here to tell us to wake up and get this going, because we are not on vacation. This past, starting last week, Monday, I believe, is when the lockdown or the grounding started. We might have felt, even I did, for the first 3, 4, 5 days, you feel like you're on vacation, where you want to watch Netflix, you want to catch up on the movies, and you want to just spend time with your family and friends. And it looks like it's just a jovial, fun time. But then slowly the uncertainty creeps in, and you realize that, this isn't just a time when we're on vacation, but this is going to be difficult. For a lot of businesses, there's uncertainty across the board, where we don't know how to pay our salaries, where we don't know where our revenue streams are going to be. We don't know how long the lockdown is going to last. But I'm not here to scare you, because I want to tell you that this current situation presents an opportunity bigger than any you have ever thought possible. And I don't like to teach this to people, but in politics, there's a common saying, and they use this often. And the saying is, never let a good crisis go to waste. And think about how true that is, right? Because I think this crisis has given us two big gifts. Gift number one is this current situation has given us the gift of time. It's given us the gift of time, which was the one thing that we always cribbed about, we wanted, we craved, and we never had enough of. Right? I mean, just 10 days ago, imagine you were sitting in your office and you didn't have enough time to deal with like 10 things on your to-do list. You didn't have any time to get done with meetings that you had scheduled, or you were, you didn't have time to eat your food. That's how busy you were. And you're telling me in just 1 week of being at home, you're not busy anymore? What happened? Well, the work still remained. You just thought that it wasn't possible, or right now it wasn't the priority or the time to get this work done. So with that thought, I want to tell you that the first gift it's given us is the gift of time. That means utilize this time, which you've always wanted to do something incredible, something that you always wished to do, and I'm going to tell you how you can do that. And the second gift this lockdown period, or this grounding period, has given us is the gift of the space for leadership. Mark my words, today is going to be incredible in the leadership world, because all of those people, there are going to be two cases. There's going to be people who you thought were leaders before this era. I think this is a rating in of a new era. Before this era, people who you thought were leaders who won't stand out as leaders anymore. They won't live up to your expectations. And then there will be those people who you thought, there's no way this guy is going to lead or this girl is going to lead. And all of a sudden, these guys are going to stand out and go above and beyond anything anything you had ever expected, and they will stand out and stand tall as leaders. My question is, which one are you going to be? Because in the light of crisis, you have this opportunity to lead, and people are looking for good leadership. And right now, each one of us can stand up just like Hubelo did, just like people in this team did, just like we are right now, to stand up and be the ringleader to take people into a more positive future. Even the word for crisis in Chinese is Wei Ji. Wei Ji. The word Wei Ji, so in Chinese, in Mandarin, you have symbols that represent words, right? And the first word, if you break up the word crisis, the first one represents danger, and the second symbol represents opportunity. Just in the word itself, it's telling us Wei Ji, meaning danger and opportunity, and they always are working together. And as business people, if you are business people or human beings as a whole, we've always understood that there is a sacrifice involved in getting something out. And whenever there is a problem to solve, there is always an opportunity to be met. Now, a lot of us, though, when you're listening to someone like me, you're saying, okay, yeah, this is great. Like, oh, wow, this is a cool fact, or this is something that should inspire me. But I want to really put it in context to us by telling you a story. And I absolutely love stories. So reach out to me sometime when you want to know stories. But this one's my favorite. And I want to use it here right now because I think it means more today than it ever did without being in the current situation that we're in. So once upon a time, this is the story of a gambler. Once upon a time, there was this gambler and he died. Now, he didn't know he had died, but he passed on to his afterlife. And as he passed on to his afterlife, he opened his eyes and he woke, and he finds himself waking up in this beautiful stretch limousine. And he's like, oh my God, where am I? And he looks around him and it's this lovely car, and he looks to the left side of where he's woken up on the seat, and he sees 2 bottles of champagne. One of them is open and the fizz is coming out, and he's like, wow, this is cool. And then he looks to the other side where, it's a stretch limo. So the other side of the seats, the other side of the car where there is a big long seat, and he sees 4 of the most gorgeous women he's ever seen in his life. And he's like, wow, now this is a party. This is amazing. I don't know where I am, but this is cool. And he's curious as to where he is. So he opens up the window and he looks outside and finds himself in the middle of Las Vegas at his favorite casino, the Bellagio. So he peeks outside and he's like, wow, he's a gambler. He loves to gamble. So he gets out, champagne bottle in one hand, 4 women on another. And he starts walking into the casino, and he goes straight to the blackjack table because he loves to play blackjack. And as he goes to that table, he checks in his pocket to see if he has any money. And he realizes he has hundreds and thousands of dollars in cash. So he takes out that money and he goes and cashes them in, and he gets certain chips, and he goes to the high roller blackjack table. And his first bet that he places is for $100,000. First bet, 100 grand, and guess what happens? He wins blackjack. Second bet, he wins blackjack. 5th bet, he wins. 10th bet, he wins. 20th bet, he wins, and he keeps betting and winning and betting and winning. And 100th bet, he wins. 400th bet, he wins, and 499 bets are winning. He's so tired. He's like, oh my God, not once again. And he puts his 500th bet down, and he wins again blackjack. And he's so frustrated with winning that he looks up at God and says, oh my God, is this heaven? Is this heaven? And God looks down and says, no, son, this is hell. This is hell. Now, some of you sitting up at your computers smile, and I see some of the messages, but the thing is, this really is hell. Because if I came and told you the story of a man that kept winning all the time, you'd say, Yash, please never come and tell us this story again. It's horrible. And it's the greatest lesson I've learned in my life, is that a story is only as good as the challenges that are faced in it. A man that got everything he wanted and kept winning and kept winning and kept winning would be horrible. If you don't believe me, tell me. If you're reading a storybook, if you're reading a book, and if you're reading chapter 1 and nothing bad happens in chapter 1, would you go to chapter 2? Let's say you don't read, you watch Netflix. Tell me, would you continue watching? And actually type it on the chat box, guys. Would you, if you're watching a Netflix show and no one dies in the first 45 seconds, do you continue watching that Netflix show? Absolutely not. Because we came in this world for drama. We came in this world for drama. And when drama comes to us, we're like, oh my God, now there's drama? Well, you've been wanting drama your whole life. Without which life became mundane and boring. Because I know for sure, I don't know many things for sure, right, guys? I'm not some guru. But the one thing I know for sure is the recipe of a superhero movie. If you're watching a superhero movie, or if you want to direct a superhero movie, the first thing, and one of the only things you need to make a great superhero movie, is a super villain. Because the greater the villain, which is the greater the challenge, the greater the protagonist role, the greater the story becomes. And each one of us has faced several challenges in our life. And that's why all our stories are great. I mean, it's one thing to have a great story and another thing to be able to tell it. But today, I want you to catch yourself, stop yourself, and remind yourself that right now, at this point in time, at 3 or whatever p.m., we are in the middle of a story. And one day, 5 years from now, 7 years from now, 10 years from now, you are going to be sharing this story with someone. That we lived in a time when the entire world was sitting at home. How incredibly crazy is that? And what would that story sound like? I mean, if you have a great supervillain, you can have a great superhero movie, right? Like, so the Avengers would be absolutely a crappy movie if there was no Thanos. So without Thanos, there is no Avengers. And if Thanos wasn't as bad as he was, then there is no way the Avengers would be as cool as they were. And today we've been presented with the gift of Athenos. We have the coronavirus, which is our big supervillain. Who do we become? Are you going to be Iron Man? Are you going to be Hulk? Are you going to be Thor? Who are you going to end up being? Because each one is going to have to make a choice and be something. You can't just not exist. So when you share the story 5 years from now, how are you going to narrate the story? What is the story going to be? Because today's presented us with like a interesting opportunity, right? Take a look at the world. So for all of you that have heard me speak before or share this example, you keep it with you. But for the rest of you, go on your chat box and tell me, what is the biggest competitor for Indigo Airlines? Go ahead, type it out. What is Indigo's biggest competition? Waiting for you to type it out. See, Bhavesh, I knew someone would cheat. Someone who knows me just couldn't hold their horses. But not SpiceJet. It's not, the biggest competition to Emirates is not Lufthansa. The biggest competition to Lufthansa is not Swiss. The biggest competition to any airline in the world is Zoom, is Skype, any sort of video conferencing, because the question is no longer which airline should I fly. The question today is, should I fly? Should I fly? Question mark. And this thought process, I just want to bring you to it, is the opportunity that we're presented with today, because the way we think the world is no longer the way the world is going to be. And we need to prep ourselves, we need to prepare ourselves mentally and of course in terms of our infrastructure to get to where we are. So with that, while working from home, I have 3 basic top tips from you, but I just feel like, today, if I've been given this opportunity, I must share with you things that I've done to make it better. So I'm lucky to have a home office and an environment where I can work well. But here are 3 top tips. Do these and you'll be okay no matter how long the lockdown is. So these are personally for you and a little bit about your business. The first one is keep your morning routine and your evening routine. What I mean by keep it is whatever it was. I don't care what your routine was before, but keep it. Keep it to be the same. If you want to go above and beyond, then you will go and make the routine better. You'll sleep earlier, wake up earlier, you'll work out stronger. But whatever your routine was, at least keep it. For instance, you used to wake up at 7 a.m. every day. Wake up at 7 a.m. right now. It's very critical to keep consistency in your routine, because right now a lot of things are uncertain. Certainty or uncertainty are a function not just of your environment, but also of you as an individual. So for instance, when you go to the gym and you work out, and let's say you're doing your bench, you feel certain. There's a certain amount of certainty that comes into you as a human being. And that's why you love doing that exercise or running or whatever it is. If you do it and if you experience what I'm talking about, you will know. Right, guys? How do you feel? Do you feel certain when you go to the gym and when you're doing something where you're winning or you're achieving something? Yes or no? Tell me on the chat box. Everything, guys, is on the chat box. Keep going there. Right? And as you guys tell me there, and it's incredible how much uncertainty can impact us if we add to it. So I've been interacting with thousands. Today we have 94 people on the call. Yesterday I was doing a webinar with like 300, and 2 days ago I had almost 1,000 people on a webinar that I was running. And the thing is, uncertainty like is so crazy because people have just chosen to stop showering. Yeah, shower. This is a reason. Why should I shower? Kisi ko milna nahi hai, bahar jana nahi hai. Why do I need to shower? I'm just going to be in my pajamas all day. I'm going to be in my PJs. I'm not going to shave. I'm not going to comb my hair. These basic things have a drastic impact on what you end up doing. So just continue doing them, guys. Simple stuff. Second, very, very critical, is identify a place in your home that you call your office. Okay. Now, this is crucial because you might think that you're working from home, you're lounging on your sofa and you're texting someone and you're using WhatsApp or making calls, but you're not going to be as productive. Now, quickly, I could spend time on this, but I'll just tell you short, is that our brain has spatial memory. Just like we have memories that are being built as we learn, the spatial memory. So for instance, you go on your bed, your brain knows, okay, it's time to sleep. But for some of us, we have a habit of reading before we sleep or watching movies before we go to sleep or a show, whatever. If you have that habit, then you'll notice that it becomes impossible to sleep without reading, if that's what you've been doing on your bed for an elongated period of time. So what I mean here is your body is learning from the space that it's in. So please identify a space in your home, which could be your veranda, it could be your balcony, it could be your living room, your dining room, but that one spot is your office. Call it your office. Tell everyone in your home you're going to the office, okay? Even though you're just walking 5 paces and going there. Now, as soon as you go to that space, your brain knows, okay, it's time to work. It's time to work, and it's extremely, extremely important that you do this because otherwise you're not going to be as productive as you should be. Now, exercise. Okay, guys, I know you've seen 1,000, maybe 1,000,000 videos telling you to exercise, but I just want to tell you that even if you never exercised in the past, I don't care. Right now, you're spending like 1/10 of the calories that you used to spend just by living. Okay, just by living. Like you don't realize just waking up, going to the shower, coming out, having food, going out, sitting in your car, driving, if you're in Bangalore, like driving 10 hours to get to your office, right? And you get there and now you have to go up the stairs or use the elevator, talk to people, shake hands, hug them, kiss them. All of this stuff took a lot of calories, a lot of calories. And you are not spending half as many calories right now. So whatever you do, just move. And here's a lesson to always remember, even when we're not on lockdown, but write this down. Is motion equals emotion, right? Motion equals emotion. So for example, you go to a nightclub or you go to you go someplace where there's dancing happening, or in Gujarat, you go to a garba. As soon as you start moving your body, you have a certain happy emotion that comes out. No one is sad when they're moving, okay? So when you're playing something or when you're dancing or just movement in general leads to an increase in or an elevation in your mood. So remember to exercise for your mind and for your body. And don't eat junk, guys. I know this is a good time to like stock up on snacks and watch Netflix and eat, but you're going to regret this 20, 30 days from now. It's horrible. So don't eat junk. Just eat some real food. You don't need to be crazy about it, but get some nutrition in. Because now we're coming to the serious stuff. So what I wanted to take you through in the remainder of the time that we have is, I ran this session for all of my 2,700 BNI members in Gujarat, but I wanted to run it with you in a shortened format, which I call the 5 C's. Now, if you're a business person or an entrepreneur or a professional of any sort, even if you're working in an enterprise where people report to you and stuff like that, I think these 5 C's will really help you structure the way you're doing your business. So let's get to it. The first one is cash. Cash or cost management, I'm just going to make them one, but let me just talk about cash for a second. Right now, cash truly is king. You've heard this over and over, that liquidity is important, liquidity is king, so on and so forth. But right now, your cash, which means your liquid money, which you have with you in your bank or in your pockets, is absolutely going to play a critical role. So please watch it carefully. This isn't a time to flounder it away. Now, why I make these 5 C's, let me just give you a brief, is because I know some of you are thinking that the 15th of April, the lockdown ends and everything, gets back to normal. And I really hope that happens. But my job as an individual, as a business person, as someone who people respect and give the time of day to, is My job is to expect the worst and hope for the best. To expect the absolute worst and hope for the best. So I'm thinking, what if we are in lockdown for 6 months? So what if we absolutely are sitting at home and working from home for 6 months? The question is, where are you going to get your money from? How are you going to pay your team? What is your business going to look like? And more importantly, who are you going to become at the end of these 6 months? Who are you going to become? I mean, I know a lot of us thought, oh, great, family time. You know, we're going to spend some time with our kids and our wives and our husbands and our parents at home. If that was the case, and then after 5-6 days, your better halves are like, oh my God, this is too much time together. You know, let's be a little apart. And this will happen. Who are you going to become is going to be key. So one of the most critical parts is your cash, because if you're going on for 6 months with less or little revenue, or you're keeping your revenue up, but you're going to have to change the system, then I'm going to teach you how to do that. You're really going to want to focus. But the way to do that is really look at the costs and manage them well. So here's a few things you can do to manage your costs. The first one is stay abreast of government programs. You know, I know we all are spending an ginormous amount of time talking with each other on WhatsApp and looking at forwards and videos about the coronavirus. I think, you know, I'm not an expert on the coronavirus, but I do know this: talking about it does not make it go away. 100% truth. So the more you talk about it, it doesn't just disappear or the problem go away. It doesn't do that. But it might be better to focus on things which apply to your business, to your profession, and stay abreast of these government programs. There are some serious things being rolled out. So just know if there is something that can help you, you don't want to miss out on it. Second is collaboratively renegotiate costs with your vendors. Now look, guys, we as human beings, we are ethnocentric beings. That means we have evolved because we associate with each other. You know, this philosophy of givers gain, which is a philosophy we follow in my organization in BNI, or this, but a philosophy of tit for tat, or what goes around comes around, is the truth. Because as human beings, we constantly depend on each other. And today we are all blanket, each one, a billionaire to someone on the streets. We are in the same position. And hence we all will understand each other and we all will help each other when we can. So pick up the phone and don't be weird and just not pay your vendors or people that you owed money to, but just pick up the phone and tell them, hey, look, this month's going to be tough. What can we do? Cut this cost down, or, you know, give me half price. For example, we have one of these properties which we rent out. And I actually picked up the phone, called the landlord, and after our discussion, I saved 4 lakh rupees this month. Now, this isn't a small amount, right, for anyone. And especially in a time like this, if you're saving that amount of money, guess what? I'm able to take care of my team better. I'm able to spend it on my IT infrastructure, so on and so forth. So please pick up the phone and talk to your vendors. Okay, don't just sit there and think that it's going to go away. Wishing it away is not going to make it go away. Review and optimize your force majeure clauses. So all of us have insurances, different contracts, different things that you've entered into. Please take a look at your force majeure clauses, which is usually the last clause, which is your act of God kind of clause. Now, most of the contracts have these in. So if you have them in, please review the contracts and see if that is going to give you any sort of benefit from your national insurance companies or private companies that you've dealt with, etc. Just take a look at these clauses. And by the way, if you don't have this clause, make sure you have it in all of the other contracts that you do. Consider staffing changes and compensation changes. So this is the question that a lot of people continuously ask me, and I'm sure after this call, I don't think we have time for a Q&A, but somehow the team will set it up for us if they need to, is people will ask me, Yash, what do I do with my team? How do I pay my salaries? What's the best thing to do? Should I fire them? Should I stop paying them? Should I pay 50%? Look, here's my take, blanket, is as an entrepreneur, I think I took the risk, or we all took the risk of starting a business, of becoming entrepreneurs, and employees chose to be employees. And it's our job right now to face the consequences of taking that risk. And hence, to me, it's clear. My team is under my protection. So I'm going to do what I need to do to ensure they're taken care of. So there's no question of not paying them. But for some of you, if that question does arises, everyone has their own scenario. You know, as far as character is concerned, have the intention to pay them, and then look at your legalities. There are several labor laws, etc., that prevent you from just not paying salaries, so know what they are. But the one thing that I would recommend is for certain high-paying people, right? If you have someone who you're paying 3-4 lakh rupees a month to, pick up the phone, chat with them, understand the work they're doing, and for the next 2 to 3 months, you can have you can collaboratively come up with a concession and say, look, I'm going to pay you 75%, or this is what we're going to do. You can work that out by good communication. So please do that. Freeze all non-essential spending. So if you made investments, don't panic. If you bought a new machinery for your factory, like, go on with it if you see that the demand, because I see that demand in the business world is going to go up big time come May, June, July. Like, as soon as this stuff ends, we're all going to be in the buying market. So it's a great time to continue making your investments, but this might not be the best time to buy that Mercedes that you were planning on booking, right? Just hold on to any non-essential spending, make sure everyone's taken care of, and then we can take these calls. It's for a short period of time, right? Everything I'm saying is temporary. Things are going to change. But even when the coronavirus thing ends, the world is going to be left different. We're not going to be the same people we were, and I'm going to come to that. Create plan A. Okay, as a part of changing the game, what you want to do is make sure you have a plan A. Do you know what you're going to do with your business? What your company is going to look like? Some of you are enterprises, or you work in organizations that absolutely might just disappear, might evaporate. Okay, what are you going to do? What's your plan? Because there must be a plan. Forget plan B. Right now, create a plan A. If this happens, then this is what I will do. If B happens, then this is what I'll do. If C happens, then this is what I'll do. Have your plan ready. Okay, and I hope the next C's make this very easy for you to do. Extremely, extremely critical is confirm continuity. Now, what I mean by this is the following. So, confirm continuity first to you and your stakeholders, which means the show absolutely, absolutely without a doubt must go on. You know, the coronavirus is not an excuse for us to say, oh my God, I quit, I'm panicked. No, this is the time to say, okay, this has happened, and now how do I make use of this crisis and come out bigger, stronger, richer, more powerful? What are we going to do? So as you confirm continuity, plan for extended period of remote work. So right now, as I said, plan as if you're going to be doing this for the next 6 months. Okay. So whatever that entails, whatever sort of planning and prep you need to do for that, get it ready. Second is be ready for fraud and data breaches. Unfortunately, you know, I wish these fraudsters, I mean, don't get me started on them, but I wish right now at least they would cut us a break, or they'd give us a break. But the thing is, unfortunately, they don't listen to me, and they're not on my webinar right now, so I can't tell them. But be prepared, okay? Be prepared to make sure your data is secure. I just had a hack in the US just this morning, and I had to deal with that. So just be ready, have the best cybersecurity in place, or as well as you can be, have the right team. Right now would be the best time to call that friend, or call a person that you know who is into IT, and develop your IT infrastructure. Because listen to me carefully, guys. Right now, we do not, no matter who you are, I don't care if you're 75, 85 years old, we do not have the opportunity to say, oh, I'm technologically backward, oh, I can't do this, I can't use Zoom. No, it's not time to crib. It's not. Like, I don't think I'm the most tech savvy guy in the world, but you know what? I know how to use Zoom well, and I better do. I spent 2 days learning it, and now I can do things more than what a techie could do, because I need this to do my business. I had no option. Necessity is the mother of all invention, and right now is time for necessity. So get out of that zone, clear your head, and you will have to become the person you were not before, if that's what it takes, okay? Now, cross-train and 3 deep. What I mean by this is, in the current scenario, your business needs to not be in different silos, okay? Don't have it segregated where your marketing department's doing something that your accounting department doesn't know about. Make sure that you're cross-training. People have different skill sets that are overlapping, and always 3 deep. 3 deep means 3 people at least that can do the same task, because in an uncertain time, you don't know what's going to happen with the workforce or how the environment's going to react to you. So be 3 deep. Essentially, designate a vendor, and very, very importantly, as I said, designate a vendor for backup IT support. I already covered it. Establish remote banking if you already haven't. Like, for my company, I never thought that we would be taking money on Paytm, like large orders. We started using Paytm. Of course, apart from the NEFTs and the IMPSs, RTGSs, all of this, make sure your accounts team is trained, your banking is 100% up to date, because you can do everything in the world, but if you don't have a system to give or take money, you're kind of lost, right? So make sure your banking's up to date. Identify backup vendors, because unfortunately not everyone's going to survive this. Okay, this is just how it is. And since everyone's not going to survive it, you want to make sure that you have someone else to back you up. Also, when the demand goes sky high, you want to make sure you have two vendors who can take care of your needs and you're not just reliant on one. Review insurances. Review insurances. So see if this was actually an opportunity for you, your organization, if you're in manufacturing, etc., where your force majeure clause in your insurances are going to pay you off. Please take a look at that. We've been paying insurance companies for a while. It might just be time to cash in on those. Okay, so review them. Then communication. Okay, in my life, if you ask me, Yash, what is the one C that matters to me most and always has, whether it be your family, your business, or yourself, is communication, communication, communication. Communicate, communicate, communicate. That means right now, get on the phone. After the seminar, right? Get on the phone. Call your stakeholders. Make sure you're doing a meeting. For example, if you run a company, make sure you just set up simple communication with them, which is visual also, because our brain takes in different stimuli. It's taking visual stimuli just as much as it takes in auditory, olfactory, etc. So you want to make sure that you are able to not be out of sight, out of mind. Okay, you have 50 people, 30 people on your team and you haven't seen them in 10 days, that's going to be a problem. It's extremely important to get on a chat where you can see them, you can see how they're doing, and show them that you care, right? Show them that you care. So 3 people where communication is going to kick in. In the interest of time, I'm just going to have to tell you quick, otherwise I would spend time, is communicate with your clients. I know some of you cannot service your clients right now. That's okay, but pick up the phone and chat with them. Just say, look, I hope you're doing okay. I hope business is well. Don't worry, when it starts, we're going to be there for you. Is there something I can do now? This is critical. Second, speak to your team members, your community. Right? Speak to your stakeholders. And third is your family. Keep them all inspired. In fact, take this PPT. I hope you're taking photos, screenshots. Take it, copy it. I don't care. There's no IP. Share it with your team. Get your kaka, mama, chacha, tauji, everyone on the call and do something that keeps people inspired. Because right now, as I said, is the time for leadership. Is the time to stand up and stand tall. And I know each one of us, you're spending time learning on this great summit. You guys are gonna take use of this opportunity. And then, second to last is competition. Now, what I mean here is I want all of us to really understand this. Right now is not a time to relax. Right now is actually the time to fight or flight. Okay, so this is when your endorphins should be kicking in, because what I want you to think is, imagine all of us, all of you, all of you, right? We're retail owners. You owned a shop, and someone opened a shop selling the same product as you right across the street from you. If that happened in normal life, how would you react? What would you do? Would you sit back at home and relax? Would you just say, okay, I'm going to wish it away? Or would you think faster, think harder, work faster, work harder? Would you create new marketing strategies, bring down your price, optimize your product, come up with creative ways of communicating with your team, fiercely compete? Yes or no? Today, I want us all to think that we are in super competition mode. Right? We are in super competition mode. If you thought as if you were in competition mode, what would your reaction be right now? What would your company look like? What would you be doing day in and day out? I want you to think that and make sure you deliver as if you were in super competition. Okay, that's the time today. And hence, as you come about to change the game, remember this line from Wayne Gretzky? That's him, and he was a great hockey player, ice hockey player. He said, my job, and he was the world's best. He said, my job is to skate where the puck is going to be, not where the puck is or was. And wherever you thought the puck or the ball was today or is today is not going to be a few days from now, a few weeks from now, right? The normal has shifted. And in that new normal, you want to make sure that you are putting all of these C's, basics that you've learned together, to just stand out and be that change. Be that change, because if you don't change, you will die. This is not a world, and die, I mean metaphorically and literally, I don't think it's a world where the big eats the small anymore. It's a world where the fast eats the slow. And if you're not quick at making this transition, like who below made this transition to online events, I guarantee you they're going to get success. If they charge us all, let's say 5,000 rupees to come to this seminar, people would pay. And they have a revenue stream, and people have value that they're getting from it. And when you put those together, you have a business, right? Simple. And that's what you want to do in your organization. So look back at your parking lot of ideas. Here's my last 4 messages to you. So all of us have had these ideas which we parked in the past. Okay, we said that, I'll get back to it. Or this idea is great, but, let me just look at it later on. Right now is that later on. Right now is the time when you can go back and look at those ideas. And you will be surprised that some of those ideas make so much more sense today than they did then. Okay, so they're very applicable to now. So look back at them. Second is breathe. Then take a decision. Okay, just take a deep breath and then take a decision, because we have lots of decisions to make. Some of us have some tough decisions to make. Breathe. Involve your stakeholders was point number 3, and then take those decisions. The top tip here is involve more people than you usually would, because you want to take a comprehensive idea of the current scenario, because the world you're looking at, since you are isolated in your home, is not the world someone else is looking at. So you put a lot of worlds together and you will form a 360-degree perspective, where as a decision maker, you'll be able to make a more informed and relevant decision to you and your organization. Okay. And as I said when I began, never, ever let a good crisis go to waste, right? So it is one of the biggest opportunities that we've been presented with. And if you had this opportunity, the question is, would you go big or would you go home? Embrace the uncertainty and continue, absolutely continue to keep learning as you go. So thank you very much, everyone, for being on this. I have a few questions, but Riaz, thank you for setting me up in such a great way, and I look forward to chatting with any of you guys as you go. Here's how you get in touch with me. Just get on Instagram, find me at Yash Vasant. On Facebook, go to the page. Don't go to the personal link. I don't usually check it. So it's Yash Vasant Official, but if you type it, go to the page, you'll find me. And the website is yashvasant.com. So please do reach out now. I'd love to say hi. We all have time at home. So really, thank you to the Hubler team. Thank you to everyone for listening. And Riaz, over to you.
Yash. What a lovely presentation this has been.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely fantastic. The last 45 minutes or so, I think everybody out here has been enriched with a lot of quotes that you shared, personal examples, stories that you shared. The last ending quote that you shared, which you shared for the second time, of course, never let a crisis go waste. Never let a crisis go waste, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
So that is going to be forever embedded in my mind. Yes. And also, Wei Ji, the Chinese way of saying danger and opportunity for crisis.
Wei Ji.
Yeah. Even that's going to be embedded. Thank you so much.